Going to be a brief explanation on suburban fatigue. Um, Suburban fatigue is something I noticed in wealthy people. When I was growing up, I was poor, so I had something to distract my mind, being poor. I was constantly building, creating, or trying to fix broken things around me. It is my nature to try to save something as opposed to throw it out. I wasn't a part of the consumer generation where you just bought garbage and then threw it out and then bought more garbage. That was kind of a yuppie thing. Now, suburban fatigue is something I witnessed when I was a kid with this guy, this autistic guy. I'm going to call him Wyatt. Uh, Wyatt was a wealthy kid. He basically had an arcade in the under part of his house that was just all video games. He had every toy under the sun. He had the 1980s Transformers. He had Mega Man toys, Spider-Man toys. He had toys from Japan. He had so much cool shit. Um, and here's a weird thing about Wyatt. Him and his mother would steal things. Yeah. We're talking about a guy that would go to the Lego outlet and go play in Legoland. He would go to Disney World regularly. And these were all things that I was deprived of as a kid because I grew up in a middle-class family, and then the 90s inflation hit, and then we fell into the poverty family. So I couldn't go to McDonald's anymore. I couldn't go to Disneyland. I couldn't have any of those things I wanted as a kid. I had as a kid, and I felt a sense of loss. And then I hung out with Wyatt, and suddenly I could do these things again, but by proxy. I was with the rich kid. And Wyatt wasn't exactly the best person. He was very stubborn and selfish, and he was kind of a dick. But he didn't deserve anything that happened to him later in life, but whatever. The reason I'm talking about this is he was the first person I witnessed suburban fatigue because he lived in suburbia, and it was clear to me because one of the things these people would do is they would buy something, steal a part out of it, and then return it and say that part wasn't there. I'll use a Lego set as an example. They would see like a Spider-Man toy in it. They would buy the Lego set and then steal the Spider-Man toy and then return it and get like either store credit or cash for the object that they stole out of it. Or they would just straight up steal things out of stores, and they were wealthy and they could afford to pay for them, but they would steal them. And I remember Wyatt's mother explaining to me there's a sense of entitlement that comes with living in suburbia, that some things should just be given to you. And when they're not, you feel the need to take these things. And I didn't understand that because I've never had a sense of entitlement my entire life. Well, which I assume that Carl Jung guy, we all have entitlement. I guess my entitlement's really low. I don't know. They were the first people. Wyatt had a friend that used to steal from him. He had a big house and he was from a wealthy family, and they used to steal from one another. Yes, this is an actual thing. And that kid had suburbia fatigue. And suburbia fatigue is, I guess, when life is just going so smooth and so boringly, you have to do something to make it exciting. You have to make it exhilarating. I remember talking to a woman one time who expressed to me she started cheating on her husband because her life was boring. She was a housewife that drank wine every night and watched dramas, and she was bored. And there was this other urge in her, a primal need to do something, and it hides beneath the surface. And I'm pretty sure if you talk to any wealthy white family, they'll start telling you about this. If you get them, I guess, the right amount of drunk, they'll start ranting about it. And here is the cure for that. It is not joining a church and then stalking people and poisoning and killing them and then doing all these thrilling things that are violent and stupid, and then you facilitate a massive human trafficking ring because your life is boring and there's no flavor to it. When I was out there, when I was president of this shitty fucking church, I spoke to this woman who told me that she just felt like her life was empty. And I suggested that she eat more, and she said she was already really fat. And I was like, and I kind of laughed about it. But, yeah. So we have a fatty that tells me life is boring, so I tell her to travel. I was like, once a year, a couple of months, whatever you can, travel, go see the world, because what we have is a thirst for life. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience, and you are to have that physical experience. Your failure is you're not having that physical experience, which leads you to feel empty. Yeah. And it is the same thing with suburban people because their needs are met, everything is met. And this Carl Jung guy talks about, you're supposed to individualize. Well, I'm going to do a video on individualization, how to start it. If you're a wealthy fuck, you might want to do that because you probably have all the time in the world anyways. You're not doing anything with your life. But yeah, the individualization is kind of important, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. So, yeah, this is what I refer to as suburban fatigue, though. And it is a tax on people who have the perfect lives and then they just go out and do something stupid. I'll give you another example. I once knew a dude that used to get into car wrecks. Yeah. And they were like, man, that guy's just a terrible driver. No, he wasn't a terrible driver. His his thirst for life was not being satiated, so he started doing stupid things and he started wanting more experiences. And that is where misery comes from, is when you go, this is perfect. I live in a place called perfect, and now I'm going to sit here and do nothing. Okay. The other side, there are other fatigues, like working fatigue, where you just work nonstop and you don't actually have anything. You're literally just working enough to pay the bills. That happens, and then you eat ramen noodles, and then you get to sit down and watch a rich guy explain to you your problem is you're greedy and you're hoarding all your wealth when that fucker has billions of dollars and he's greedy and he's hoarding all the wealth. They call that projection. This was a normal thing. This is a normal thing in suburbia, but I think this is also an important video to explain what I refer to as the suburban fatigue. Another thing with the suburbs was they were supposed to be safe, and boomers in the crack epidemic in the 80s was a very violent time because everybody was a lead-brained addict that did stupid shit nonstop. Suburbia was supposed to be a safe place to run to, and that caused America to calm down, and it caused people to turn Democrat and not Republicans, because Republicans are fear brains. And then Adam Walsh happened, and then suburbia became unsafe. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Every serial killer in America is a church leader, and they will go out and murder a kid to scare you into going to church. That is what they do. They do the bad things and then pretend to be the good thing. Okay? If you were the good thing, you wouldn't need to do the bad thing. That's how that works, dumbass. Yeah. So this has been my video on suburban fatigue. And that is what suburban fatigue, in my opinion, is.